Chapter 2, Lesson 2. The essential question is, how can you divide by a fraction? The first study tip they just want you to look at is the product of a non-zero number and its reciprocal is 1. So if you look at the problem, it's A times B over B times A. So it would be written as AB over BA. Same letters, it equals 1. And this is called the multiplicative inverse property. You don't need to know this right now. You'll learn more about this in Chapter 7. Alright, like in the video, they did talk about a reciprocal. And when you are dividing, you must use reciprocals. To write the reciprocal of a number, write the number as a fraction. Then invert the fraction, so the reciprocal of the fraction AB is BA, where A and B do not equal 0. Alright, what I would like you to do is take this information down in your notes. The only thing you need to do is do the first sentence for the meaning of the word reciprocals. So please do that and come back. Alright, clarification a little bit. The meaning of the word invert. Okay, when I tell you have to invert to a reciprocal, for a reciprocal, this is what invert means. When you have a glass here, and I tell you to invert your glass, all that means is tip it over. So just like a fraction, you have a fraction here, I tell you to invert it, you flip it. That's all a reciprocal is. Now let's take a look at writing these reciprocals. The study tip, when any number is multiplied by 0, the product is 0, so the number 0 does not have a reciprocal. It's 0 over 0. Okay, here's your original number, 3/5. Okay? It's written again as a fraction, just like this, 3/5. If I tell you to make the reciprocal of 3/5, you would write 5/3. Right? So what you have here is 3/5 times 5/3. And remember, we looked at that. Where did we look at that? We looked at AB times BA. You're actually doing that here. You're taking 3/5, flipping it to 5/3. So now you have 3/5 times 5/3, and that should equal 1. 3 times 5 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. So all we're doing in example 1 is taking the fraction, doing the reciprocal, and then actually multiplying out the original fraction and its reciprocal, and you should always come up with 1. They did the same for 9/5, flipped it to 5/9. 2, here's your number, 2. First you need to write it in fraction form, then reciprocal, and if you multiply across, you get 2 over 2, and that is 1. At this point, I want you to pause the video, do on your own numbers 1 through 4, and show your work. Alright, this information for the key idea is also on page 64 in your book. Please copy down these notes into your spiral, and when you are done, come back to the video. Example 2, dividing by a fraction. Excuse me. I am now on page 65 of your book. Alright, here's your division problem. 1/6 divided by 2/3. Here's the problem right here. 1/6 divided by 2/3. Your first fraction you keep exactly the same. You flip division to multiplication and flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. Alright, did you follow that? This stays the same. The first fraction is not changed. Flip division to multiplication, flip the second fraction to get its reciprocal. Now here's your new problem. 1 times 3, 6 times 2. Cross factorization right here. That way when you multiply these out, you already have it in its simplest form. Easy enough. Let's move on to example 3, dividing a whole number by a fraction. It says a piece of wood is 3 feet long. How many 3/4 foot pieces can you cut from the piece of wood? Well, method 1 is to actually draw it out and mark each foot on the diagram, then divide each foot into 1/4 foot sections. All right, so for each foot, you're going to divide it into 1/4 inches and count by 3/4. So the answer to that would be you can cut 4 3/4 pieces from that piece of wood. That's method 1. Method 2 is dividing 3, because your wood is 3 feet long, dividing 3 feet by 3/4 foot pieces. So you would take 3 divided by 3/4, it's right here. First thing you have to do, and they don't show it here, but remember in the video, let me get a pencil here, come on. Hang on. In the video, they showed you to always change a whole number into a fraction. So instead of 3, you'd have 3/1 times 4/3. You'd also have, if it helps you at all, you'd have a 1 here. Okay? So now you'd have 3 times 4 and 1 times 3, because what did you do? You flipped division to multiplication, flipped the second fraction to its reciprocal. Now, once you've done the factorization, you will simplify this by going 4, and then of course it'd be 4/1, and your answer is 4. So you can cut 4 3/4 foot pieces from the piece of wood. Both answers are right, both methods are right. We're trying to work with method 2. So if you would do on your own 5 through 9 and come back when you're done. All right, dividing a fraction by a whole number, example 4. Basically the same as example 3. In this case though, your fraction is first, then divided by, and your number. Looking at the problem, 4/5 divided by 2. 4/5 stays the same, okay? Divided by, and they just rewrote the problem as 2/1, just like I was showing you in example 3. So now you're going to leave 4/5 the same. You're going to flip division to multiplication and flip this red fraction to its reciprocal, which is 1/2. Once you've done that, you may rewrite it like this. Do your cross factorization. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice. 1 is already as low as it can be, so you can't do anything crosswise here. Multiply it out, and you get 2/5. So just remember, you're working with that reciprocal. That's where your practice is going to be needed. All right, I would like you to do the on your own, numbers 10 through 13. Come back when you're done. With example 5, we're going to watch a video first, and then we'll move on with the lesson.
Order of operations, your answers will.
Okay, let's try it again.
We were learning the order of operations when I found myself a little mixed up. So many things to be evaluated. evaluated. I felt confused and my brain was just stuck. My teacher said to take 2 deep breaths and to listen to her words of advice. If you learn this saying and follow the steps, you will never ever have to think twice. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, sometimes she gets a little confused. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, a mnemonic device you should use. P for parentheses, E for exponents, M multiply, D divide. A for adding, S for subtracting. Use this order to help you decide. And please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, sometimes she gets a little confused. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, a mnemonic device you should use. If you use the order of operations, your answers will always be wise. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally is a saying I would strongly advise. To be evaluated, I felt confused